I remember being very nervous, and I think the trajectory of young kids that do this is they first write. I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn, and so you first write maybe in the staircase where no one's around and you can't possibly get caught, and you don't write your name, you write some other made up name. Uh, and then the next step was to write outside, and so I wrote outside across the street from my building in the back, sort of hidden. And I remember being very nervous about even writing on the walls. And then I sort of graduated to writing 2 blocks away on store gates, and also being very nervous to be spotted, to be seen. And so the preoccupation of possible arrest or attention was very much with me, because I came from a very strict household, and my father was definitely not going to support anything illegal and or me writing on other people's property. And so it was a bit nerve-wracking at first, but I had a friend who sort of supported me and was there also doing it with me sometimes. And so that helped me get over it. By the time I got to high school, I was a bit older and bolder, 14, 50 years old. And so I was getting more comfortable with the notion of writing my name. I would write on the insides of the trains when people were not on the trains. And so it was sort of finding the right time to paint when no one was around, so that there would not be an arrest. I think that I was definitely always concerned with getting caught. And so what I learned early on in speaking to other writers and artists is that you have to do it late at night when no one's out, or at a place where no one's around. And so when I started to really get into the art form of it, I found abandoned walls to paint along train lines that were no longer in service in Brooklyn. And I went to school in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And so there were some train tracks down there. And my friends and I would sneak down there and paint on these abandoned train tracks, and no one would ever go down there. And so we avoided the risk of arrest, so to speak. Once I started getting into trains, all that changed, because then it required breaking into a train yard or sneaking into a train tunnel, and the police were watching those things and were looking for kids. And eventually I did get caught for doing it, and I did get arrested. And the consequences were community service. I needed to go clean train stations with other teenagers that got caught. And so that was the punishment. When I got caught for writing my name in school, in high school, which I was doing, I got suspended, and there was a threat to be expelled. And luckily I did not get expelled, but that didn't sit too well with my family. And it really caused a lot of tension between my father and myself. And eventually it led to getting me, thrown out of my house, and shown the front door and said, you want to do graffiti, you want to, run the world and run the streets the way you want to do with as if you have authority, feel free. You just can't do it in my house. And so that's what happened. And that was actually fine with me, because then I was able to paint whenever I wanted to paint.